those who want to do things to kids and dogs and shit like that. Like, I would say that's generally a good thing to keep away from any community. Those types of people ruin everything they touch. So Twitter can have an issue with me on that. I don't care. But outside of Twitter, what exactly about this whole argument about gatekeeping is really a problem? I'm just curious.
Did I say it was a problem?
Well, when you were having this conversation earlier, you were definitely portraying it as it was some type of issue, like it was a moral quandary that needed to be rectified. I'm just curious, like, what exactly about what me and Coyote has ever done is a problem exactly? I'm just curious.
I didn't say it was a problem. I said it was a kind of an extension of the burnt furs movement.
The extension of burnt furs. Okay, so but see that doesn't have any bearing on the conversation because no one in here has any ties to burnt furs. I didn't even know about it up until, well, you brought it up and I had to look into it. And it doesn't really seem like it had any real bearing on what people are doing now. So what exactly is it a extension in what way? I'm curious.
It seems like what you're doing is an extension of them because what they were trying to do, just like what you want to do, is to act as a gatekeeper, as if somehow the fandom has a morality test that needs to be done, which is well, it's whatever. But when the definitions are hazy and undefined, then you could basically call everybody anything you want, really. Because I
Oh,
mean, I
okay.
believe
Well, it's
you're.
it's as simple as this. It's not vague. I believe that if you want to touch kids and you want to touch dogs, you deserve the bullet. Like, I think that's pretty fair. I don't think
And do
I
you
don't think
believe
I
that
don't
I do?
I honestly can't say for sure because you haven't really acted upon anything to my knowledge yet. But if you did, yeah, sure. I don't care. I don't see the problem with this argument again is that you're trying to make this like little weird morality thing where, oh well, if you think in these lines, therefore it's vague. It's not like there's nothing vague about kid touchers. There's nothing vague about dog fuckers. I don't understand the argument there.
Well, the thing is, every single piece of art that has any animal parts on it, somebody could argue that every single person who has ever commissioned or drawn that they all want to abuse him. That has been kind of the stereotype that has been plaguing the whole fandom over and over again. And it is something that basically is
Okay.
um, like a total deal breaker when you really talk about just society outside of the fandom. Like, I don't know if you call them normies or whatever, but that in it, I'm just saying that when the definition is dumbed down, like, I mean, like, there, um, I think there is this stereotype which you might say is true. A lot of people say it's true, but the stereotype caused a guest of honor to be banned at a local or at a Canadian convention. So the person was basically writing online that all baby furs are pedophiles. So that stereotype, I'm guessing you guys probably think it's true, but a person was talking about that stereotype.
I
And
don't outright call baby furs pedophiles, but I have noticed throughout history there's a lot of well documented baby furs who tend to be pedos. So that's a stereotype built by a lot of problems with the stuff, including the fact that what Mr. Medicare has also exposed throughout the years as well. Like, you can sit
Well,
here and
it's
talk about like, oh, this is a stereotype. Unfortunately, it's a stereotype built on problems that has happened throughout the fandom for years that's never been addressed. I watched
well,
a
what if
fucking video that was talking about this shit. And the one thing about the burn furs is that when it comes to dealing with the fact that the furry community has a problem with the infestation of pedos and dog fuckers, they're not wrong. What really destroyed them was that they pushed way too much other shit because, it's an extreme issue. So
it
yeah,
remind?
I
Sorry.
get I get that problem, right? I understand that argument a little bit when it comes down to people who push lines too far, but that's what happens when you don't put a proper line in the sand. That's an issue of people who are being stupid. This
It
doesn't actually this doesn't disprove anything I do or what Coyote does. because we're not extreme. We don't go out of our way to attack people for having random fetishes. We go after people who have done a lot worse and tend to do a lot worse than what they usually end up initially being caught for. Like
It kind of
that is the issue. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, it kind of reminds me a video I saw from a Freeman and Art back a little while ago. He was talking about feral youth, and what he said was, "I wouldn't have so much of a problem with people making art if it weren't for the fact that everyone who I've known who has admitted into being feral youth has turned out to be a straight up unapologetic zoophile."
Yeah,
And
Kiro and Snake thing did not help with that interpretation either.
yeah, and I don't have problems with people who have issues, who don't do anything, who get help and who move on with their lives. But when you go out and you go get on Twitter and you say, "Oh, I'm valid because because it's me," like yeah, people have fetishes, but these things hurt people, and these things hurt animals. There's no justification for that. It's not cute. It's not fucking funny.
I also
It
don't think it's a
destroy.
thin line. Hold on. I don't mean to be interrupted. I just want to bring up real quick. This is not a thin line issue too. Like
Yeah,
this is pretty.
no,
If you're into kids in that way, if you're into dogs in that way, you are a problem.
yeah,
Just in general, it does not matter what type of like lines and excuses you make. Every
yeah.
single time I've seen these cub fuckers and these dog fuckers pop up, it always ends the same. No matter how much they fucking make disingenuous arguments for their debauchery, it doesn't matter. Like, there's so many documented cases of this. You can't argue out of that one. So I don't understand the argument in general. Also, what is this about the screenshot of you following a fucking cub artist? I take it as a cub artist. I don't know.
A cub
Um,
artist with an 18 plus RP friendly.
it's a young and bouncy cub with a big heart and a playful nature. A bit of a oh god.
None
Oh,
of
that
that.
description is fucking cancer. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, but fair.
Yeah. You know, yeah. Damn it, I forgot what I was gonna say. But you know, if you have one of these problems, you need to get help. I know you troll on us a little bit, and that's fine. You know, we all do a little trolling. But seriously, everyone should talk to a psychotherapist at some point in their lives. But this is one of the major reasons, and anyone should. It's you're going to ruin somebody's life. I guarantee you're going to ruin a child's life if you're just hanging around and trying to have sex with them. Even if you're advocating for it, then somebody else, even if you're a quote unquote virtuous pair, a virtuous, you're going to end up convincing someone who might not, who has this issue, who might not have committed a crime, to end up committing a crime, ruining somebody's life, or abusing something that can't consent and can't even speak about it, can't come out about it.
Never mind the fact that it has been clinically proven that in the vast, and I do mean vast majority of cases, sexual abuse of a minor or an animal does cause a fuck ton of harm in the long run. And more often than not, if you sexually abuse a kid, they're going to end up doing the same thing.
Not to mention it doesn't stop after they start with like one. It's like fucking blood in the water for sharks, dude. So again, circling back to this, what exactly about this has religious connotations? Is it like a moral virtue thing? Is that what you're trying to throw out there? Like the
I'm
argument?
making an observation that there appears to be parallels. Because I mean, the
What
burnt
kind
furs
exactly?
movement doesn't appear to be around anymore. It's like kind of it's like a flash in the pan. But I want to say that in some form, in some new generation, it's taken hold because people realize that ultimately the only way the fandom is going to be accepted as mainstream, and it probably won't be, um, is if it tries a little bit harder to get rid of people who act in poor faith. For example, um, there was recently a controversy with Further Confusion. They had a DJ lined up who had a mate who was a zoophile, and the fact that the entire con was totally okay with it. The fact that I think Rocky Mountain Fur Con had like I think a chairman who was also a convicted offender. I think it kind of oh so I think it kind of um I'm sorry. Give me a second. So it kind of brings up the whole point of I'm sorry, I'm kind of distracted.
Do you have your kid here? Is he in your in your fucking is he in your house at the moment?
Am I to understand you have some sort of issue with the furry fandom, I assume, disavowing people who have come out as or been outed as pedophiles or zoophiles?
I gotta go. I'm sorry.
Bruh.
We all heard his kid,
Bruh.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we all heard that.
How
The
unfortunate.
kids, though, as soon as the kids brought up, he immediately shits himself.
Oh.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be
Yeah,
talking
that
about this shit around his kids. But
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh, he
I'm
sent
not a
me
parent.
Finally, he's taking care of his kid for once.
I doubt it.
He's not
Oh.
suicide
He'll
baiting
be
this
back
time.
here in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give it probably a good 10 minutes or so.